Today, I have with me Anna and Kristy Berington. How long have you guys been mushing with the Iditarod? I know you guys did races before that.
Kristy ran her first Iditarod in 2010, and I ran my first Iditarod in 2012. And we've been doing it every year ever since.
And when I was reading your background, I thought it was crazy that you lived in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin. I would never think that northern Wisconsin has dog sledding. I'm just totally oblivious or an idiot. What's it like in northern Wisconsin, like dog sledding?
In northern Wisconsin, I think there's a little bit more sprint racing, which is much shorter distance than we do up here in Alaska. But both disciplines, long distance and sprinting, are in Alaska and the Midwest area. So Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin are both three, I think, areas that are really big into mushing in the northern part.
Okay. And so at the age of 10, you guys both got hooked by a neighbor?
Yeah, that was part of it. Our dad had a friend, so our neighbor was 5 miles away and she had sprint racing dogs, and we saw the movie Iron Will, and we're always outside loving animals and all that kind of stuff. And our veterinarian had sled dogs, so it seemed like it was meant to be. Something was going to push us to Alaska, whether it was this movie, our neighbor, or our veterinarian, but it was just kind of three different ways that we could have got into it. And then our neighbor really gave us the big experience by giving us a junior team to run. So we took these three of her retired dogs in this 3-mile race each, and did ski joring, where you have a dog or two pull you while you ski behind them. So those were our first racing introductions, and just going to her kennel and learning what kennel life was and how it was to have 30 dogs and that kind of thing. So it was a really valuable experience. Mm-hmm. And even before that, before we were really into doing the dog thing, it was having our farm dogs, which is a border collie and a Great Pyrenees, act and pretend with us that we were mushing a dog team. So we constructed a sled out of whatever we could find in the barn, and had a 3-dog team, which was 2 dogs and 1 twin sister, heading down the driveway in whatever direction we felt like the race was headed. Yeah. Yeah. We're so excited for Christmas. We got real sled dog harness for each dog, and they're custom made, because the Great Pyrenees is huge, massive, not the size of the sled dogs that we run today. Yeah, that's but crazy. That was fun. We were going to do it any way we could, and it was fun, and that's why we did it and stuck to it, because we just really enjoy it.
So question is, I know you guys, after high school, you did the National Guard. Why not? Was it more of a passion to you guys at that point, rather than making it a profession? I felt like with the National Guard, it wasn't really 100% sure in the direction I wanted to go. And I felt like this was a good way to pay for school and whichever I decided to do later. And also enjoyed the idea of the challenge and stuff like that. A question for Kristy is, I knew you started off first on the Iditarod, moving away from Wisconsin, correct?
Yeah, it ended up that way. But I laugh because the musher that we worked for originally just needed one of us to start while the mileage was really low on the dogs, and then have the other one come up later. So it was kind of drew straws for it, and Anna gets to go up first. So she bought her ticket, and it was, kind of the non-refundable, cheapest way route you could. And then she wanted to stay down there a little bit longer because she had somebody, and we're like, okay, well, I'll just take your ID and do it that way, and I'll be Anna and fly up there. And everything went just fine. I mean, we're identical twins, and one day Anna called me up, she's like, yeah, so you got pulled over today. I'm like, what did I do? But it was just an innocent little kind of fix the ticket thing. But it was just funny that we pulled the wool over everybody's eyes and ended up, both of us up here. But that's kind of one of the funny twin shenanigan stories that we have. Of course, that goes along with all the dogs are microchipped with scannable chips for identification, and everyone knows, you could switch halfway and you'd do so well. And we joke no, we're microchipped just like the dogs are. We can't do it. So yes, the short answer is yes, I did come up to Alaska first.
So I guess, what was the point where you guys were like, let's make the move to Alaska? I know it doesn't go down to a moment, but what was kind of the thing in your mind that made you think, okay, let's move everything all the way over to Alaska? I think just wanting to do it for real. Situation for so long. It just felt like this merry-go-round. And I was like, no, I want to see what this is really like.
Mm-hmm. So I think it was a process from after, high school and after the National Guard and doing a few semesters at university. And then it was like, I can't sit in school. I don't know what I want to do. Then it's like, let's go run dogs somewhere. And so we ended up doing tours at ski resorts in California. And like Kristy said, from there, we wanted to do it for real, because all the tourists are asking like, oh, have you done the Iditarod? Have you done these races, stuff like that? I was thinking, I've never even been to Alaska. And then, so it was like, then Kristy went up to Alaska to get dogs for the touring business in California. And she ended up meeting Dean Osmar, and Dean won the Iditarod in 1984. And he just loved how Kristy worked with the dogs, just super natural and just right in there, ready to do all the dirty work and that kind of stuff. And just loved the dogs. He's all like, if you want to come up here and have a job handling dogs with me, you got it. And
I was kind of like, so here's the catch. It's kind of a BOGO deal. If you hire me, you're hiring my sister too. He's like, hey, that's even better. Two people that actually like to work together. That's fantastic. And if she's as doggy as you are, I'm going to have the best handlers I've ever hired. So
yeah. So we were just living in a tent in the Sierra Nevadas doing guided horseback tours and pack trips and doing dogs in the winter, and just basically packed up the tent and came up to Alaska, and just kind of everything went from there.
Fell into place.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was just like a lot of it was just taking the opportunities. It's like, not being afraid to, let's just pack it all up and go to Alaska. Let's do it.
Nobody up there.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to go live with a stranger up there in Alaska.
Yeah. And our parents are like, oh, well, you're going together, so it should be okay. Like all the time growing up, Kristy and I would go out to the woods or go out to the lake or go out in the middle of the night and go play and stuff like that. And they were always okay with it because we had each other.
If something hit the fan, I was like, well, the other one will just go get help. If one of them falls in the lake, the other one can go get help.
Yeah. So I think that they're like, well, at least you're going up there to a partner and that kind of stuff. So it was just taking that risk and just knowing that this is what I want to do. And if this is the process of how to get there, let's do it.
And we don't quit easy. Even if the off chance that I hated it up here, like, oh man, it's too cold. Being a musher for real is too hard. We always stick something out for 1 or 2 years before we like move on. So we were ready to commit to this for a little bit, no matter how hard it was going to be. I mean, that's the same thing that we did with the Army, and even with the 4 semesters we did in school. It was just like, nope, gave it the 4 semester shot. I'm going to go look at something else. And just, it was a natural fit being up here, and I couldn't imagine living really anyplace else.
So it sounds, I was going to ask this question later after we talked about, I guess, your teams, but it's the perfect moment. So you guys were born into the buddy system, basically.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, all this, like, you guys have almost very similar experiences, same genes. Do you look at one another and like, if you're having a hard time and the other one isn't, you're like, if she can do it, I can do it. Does that ever go through your minds? Like, if you're having a difficult time, and do you think of one another that way?
We've been through times like that where someone's having a harder time or the other one's not having a harder time and that kind of thing. And just the encouragement and support you get from each other is huge. And then for me, having Kristy have run 2 Iditarods before I ran mine, I had this confidence going into it. So like, well, Kristy's been there, done that. She did awesome. I can do it. So I think for me, it really was a big thing to have, Kristy's experience to look up to and to have to draw from. Even though I didn't do Iditarod, I did it through her, hearing all of her experiences and following along and that kind of thing. I felt like I had that benefit and that kind of stuff. So I feel that for sure that I fed off of Kristy a lot in the beginning.
Yeah, I feel it too. And I feel like there's some times where Anna believes in me more than I believe in myself. And that helps me do the best I can and overcome obstacles.
That's awesome. Just because obviously this is nothing like you guys are above and beyond in your bond. It's just like, I've done a marathon. So basically any other mileage below a marathon, I'm like, oh, I can do that. But if I've never done something, until you do it, it's a completely different, it's all mental. And I think you guys understand that, because we can talk about this right now. So you guys run marathons, triathlons, basically in your downtime when you guys aren't actually racing in March, right?
Yeah, we just our most recent race was like a 50K. marathon, and I've done this almost every summer. And Anna's like, oh, I'd like to do on such a, I don't know, I just
Yeah,
gonna run
it was
a
my
regular
first ultra marathon.
And I was like, no, just do it. It's only like 5 more miles. Just do it. You can do it. And then Anna's like, yeah, I can do it. And then it got close to racing. She's like, I don't know. I think it should just, stick with what I can do. And like, no, it'll be fun. Let's just do it. I mean, I know you can do it. And we had a great time running it together.
Yes, there's an example right there of where, Kristy had that experience, was able to pump me up and be like, you can do it. You've done enough marathons. Let's take a step beyond, do this ultra marathon. So yeah, that was huge for me to have that.
Yeah, that's crazy. What is, I guess, the downtime like between races, like after March and then gearing up, I guess, the month before?
Like, because the dogs will wrap up their season and we mush through March and into April. And as the snow melts away, we kind of give the dogs some time off, and it's more just one-on-one time with them and free running and just that kind of stuff. Because it starts to get warm, so we just have to monitor them in the summer for activities. But then we start our training, which is kind of like how the dogs do. We start out with lower mileage and build and that kind of thing, and kind of look at the race season and what each of us want to do and train for.
And as far as the dogs go, it's a lot like people. You train hard leading up to the race, and then you do a taper, and then you do the race, and you take a little bit of time off, and then you get right back into training again for the next race. And we do a lot of middle distance races, 200 and 300 mile races, to prepare for the big race in March, which is the Iditarod. And that just helps us go through all our equipment. It helps the dogs get experiences. It helps to get around other dogs that have, I don't know, different diseases, kind of like getting kids together. So you get them exposed to different little bugs going around, because the more you can do that and they get all those things, the healthier they'll be going into Iditarod. And it's really a lot of fun to get off of your home training trails and go to a race where they set the course and tell you where you're going, and you get to run places that, you've never gone before, because it's outside of, your usual training areas. So that's a lot of fun to do that and to see how good your dogs are.
So when you guys are running on the off season, you don't actually have like snow or rough conditions during then. It's all basically you're building up the endurance, right?
Yeah. Like, it's conditioning and getting them used to the handling and the routine and that kind of thing. They're pulling a 4-wheeler, like an ATV, on dirt trails. And just a lot of it is just getting them in that rhythm. So then you can condition them. So then when it's snowing and you get them to do longer things and camp outs and that kind of thing, just like a human athlete, you have to build that up. And for the dogs, that there's their first year in type of training, it's a lot of first times for things. It's their first race where they're getting touched by a vet, and they're camping with all these other teams, and they're traveling and overnighting and that kind of thing at a different spot. So it's just, the racing has a totally different atmosphere than what you can create in training. So getting them to these preliminary races before Iditarod just really helps the young dogs get an idea of, okay, this is what this is like. So then they're comfortable when you do take on something as big as Iditarod, that they aren't wasting a lot of time stressing or uncomfortable, that they can rest and they can perform their best.
And we call it getting trail hard.
Mm-hmm.
When they get to that point where they know we run, we eat, we rest, repeat, and we do this until the musher says we've arrived. And whether it's 200, 300, 500 miles, 1,000 miles, we're going to keep doing this. And it's fun to watch the puppies learn that, because I've been on Iditarod before, and there's a mandatory 24-hour break you have to take, and we take all our harnesses off, and it's just a big rest time. And the adults know it's like, oh, we're getting massages, we're getting stretched, and we sleep. And the puppies are like, yeah, let's play. And the adults, as you can tell, are rolling their eyes like, oh, you better get some rest, because we're, leaving in another 20 hours. So it's really, really a lot of fun to watch them grow and learn what they need to do to excel. And then the other thing that just blows my mind is when you get these veteran dogs to the starting line of Iditarod, and they know it's where the time of year and where we are at, that this is Iditarod, and we know we're not done for another 8 to 10 days. 1,000 miles from here is finish time. And if you were to tell a human being that, I don't think they'd be jumping and screaming like, I can't wait. They'd be all like, okay, relax, hold your energy, breathe. The dogs just are bonkers. They're so excited to go. And it's just amazing to have that energy and that excitement heading into something so challenging.
I know exactly. I feel like everyone knows. I call it the zoomies. It's like when your dog sprawls and then just does like a 360 and runs back and forth. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's very fun, but then it's very frustrating when they get very physical. So obviously I know nothing about the team. So what do you go about when you start looking for the team that you're going to take? Obviously there's a lead, like your starting team for the race.
Well, we training a pool of dogs. So for almost any of all the races that we'll do, it's like running 12 to 14 dog teams. So throughout the season, we'll train maybe like each 18 to 20 dogs to look at to see who's going to make the team. Because for various reasons, they will not make the team, whether they're maybe the female comes in the heat, or maybe one of them has a stomach bug before a race and you're not taking them, or that kind of thing. Or you're trying to also take your best 14 possible. So number 15 is a great dog, but you can only take 14 of them. So we'll start off with training a pool of dogs. And in that pool, like for Kristy and I, we make sure we both have a good amount of lead dog. One of all the be leaders, but not all of them have the same strength as all other lead dogs, but have a good source of leaders. That we both have veteran dogs and we both have rookie dogs. There's definitely a benefit to having dogs, like Kristy said, that have been there. So we kind of, when we divide up our teams, we make sure that that's fair in those regards. And then because we like to travel together, we just try to, as we're training, see which team has which strengths. Like, wow, Kristy's team sure is hard pull or strong up the hill. I feel like my team's a little bit weaker. Maybe we should add some bigger males to your team. So that's the balancing act that we play, so we can run together, because for us, it's more of we love doing it so much together that we both will sacrifice a position or two to have fun running the race together. Because to win it is, it's just, you need to have, all the magic cards to line up. And just to be realistic, I just don't know if it's in the cards for us, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we have a small kennel for 2 mushers. We have 39 dogs total. That counts 3 dogs that we have that are retired. We call them legacy dogs, because they're too old to race with the team anymore, but they have their jobs with the teams and the other dogs. But it's a very small pool we each have. So we really have to take really good care and observe each individual for what they need, so we can make sure everybody's, running together as a team, because they're all Alaskan Huskies, but at the same time, they're individuals. So you have to make sure you're running as, almost the best as your weakest dog can do. Because the moment you push that dog outside their comfort zone, something's going to give, and you're going to end up having to return that dog. Because if you get a dog along the trail that gets sick, injured, tired, you can have it stay at a checkpoint with the veterinarian and they fly that one home. So the moment you push beyond that dog's capabilities, they're going to have to go home. And then there's a new weakest dog and you have to run to their capabilities. And if you push too hard, they go home, and that's when you get smaller and smaller numbers.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment before I forget this. The photos that you guys post, I love the large amounts of meat that you guys buy, like the fish, like all the like miscellaneous. It's funny to say, but that's like the best part, to see, like, I don't know, 300 pounds of, I'm going to say pig ears, but it's not pig ears. But yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. People laughing like, oh, we got to go get a ton of dog food. And they're like, oh yeah, a ton of dog food. No, literally, we just bought a ton of dog food. So it's not just the number we're throwing out there. It's just literally a ton of dog food at a time we'll buy.
Yeah. And the amount of chest freezers that we have.
Yeah. That are filled with dog food.
I can't even imagine. That's probably the majority of your electric bill is those coolers.
Yep. Yeah. It goes way down. Like sometimes in the winter, it's 30 below outside, then the whole world's the freezer. Yeah. So that's great.
I didn't even think about that. That's awesome. So when you guys are picking out the 2 teams, do you have a whiteboard? And is it like this huge discussion, like somebody gets the marker, or is it kind of like you guys just email back and forth or talk it through?
Yeah. So we get this notebook and we have developed each certain dogs. Like those are Kristy's dogs, like this couple of leaders that she's developed and trained and work with, those are her dogs, because she put a lot of work into creating them as leaders. We're there for their first experiences, that kind of thing, and put extra work into, like one of her leaders, Wallace. he's just a puppy all the time. And Chris is like, I think that he has what it takes to be a leader. And I was like, I don't think so. He's all over the place. He can't pay attention. But she got him to be a great leader and feeds off his enthusiasm for the whole team. And I can always tell where she's at because he's barking, and she got him to be a great lead dog. It's like, yeah, you earned that dog for your team because you believed he was a leader and you got him to do it. And so then as we are training the yearlings, that's their first rookie year doing stuff,
the freshmen.
Yeah, that's when I think we kind of look at it more like, well, how many females do you have on your team? How many big males are you looking to put on yours? And what's going to complement what you have and what's going to complement each other to what we need. So I think it comes down to, we each have maybe 10 go-to dogs, and the rest of them we kind of sort out to see which team is lacking and needs what.
Yeah, we have 3, an A team, B team, and C team. And like, other than the C team is the juggle dogs. Like, oh, they could go to Anna's team, they could go to my team. So Anna has her core team, I have mine, and then we have the middle team, which we both run, or my husband runs, and we figure out from there who needs what to complement the teams to make them as similar as possible, just to make it easier on us, because we have gotten to the point where my team got ill last year. They got a stomach bug, and I was fighting it the whole way. And the best thing I could do for some of the dogs is have them stay at the checkpoint to get hydrated and food and to not exercise. So I had to work really hard to keep up with Anna. And though I'm running up every single hill and pedaling and exhausted every checkpoint I got to, and Anna, I could just watch her like she was, riding a magic carpet up the hill, just standing there, turn around and watch behind me. Because as bad as she wanted to run up the hill, if she did, I'd lose sight of her, and we would no longer be training. Try to balance teams out from the beginning as easy, it's as similar as we can, so it's as easy for each dog team. So nobody's standing on their break holding a team back, and nobody's pedaling and running and ski pulling as hard as it can to keep up.
Yeah, and I thought one of the other years that we were running together, we went into it thinking that we balanced the teams very well, but Kristy just had some faster driving leaders, so I just ended up following her more, and she was leading more of the race because it was the best way we could keep our speed of the way it was for her team to travel freely if they wanted to, and mine chase hers to give a little bit more encouragement to keep up. So that was a great way to travel together. But we found out, well, your team's a little bit faster than mine, and that's fine. We're still learning, and this sport, every year you learn something new, and you have a different dogs to work with, and you're always building and that kind of thing. So if you think you know it all, then you're not going to do any better because it's always changing.
Do you feel like, I don't think synergy is the right word, but the mesh of the team is like a big thing you have to focus on, making sure that, like, obviously females in heat or something like that, is that a huge issue sometimes, or do you guys kind of preemptively know that's coming to shift the team, or this guy's a troublemaker, so you kind of, I don't know, something like that?
Yeah, that's the great thing with having a small kennel and with both of us running our dogs, is that's that much more time that we get with our dogs. A lot of mushers hire handlers, which how we got our start, to help run the dogs. And every time you have somebody else running your dogs, there's things you're not seeing and noticing. So when we run all our own, I know that my 2 brothers, Berserker and Boulay, they run the best together. Boulay gets a little grouchy, and sometimes a puppy will step on his tail the wrong way and he gets upset, but it's gonna cuddle up next to you and we're both gonna sleep and relax. So I definitely know some dogs are right-handed, left-handed, and some of them are a little bit more specific on which side they like to run on. And we always like to flip-flop them so there's no overuse injury. But I've got a dog, Ruckus, and he is a hardcore lefty, and he needs to be on the left-hand side. So I need to, I can't run another lefty with him because they'll both be pressing hard on the left. So just to know your dogs and their tendencies, all the way from sleeping habits to eating habits. You can't put a vacuum with a dog that, likes to take their time and cut all their meat into tiny pieces and eat it, versus someone else is going to swallow it whole because the other one's not going to get to eat. So it's just knowing their personalities and how they're going to work, like you said, mesh the best together is best by experience. You can't teach experience. So experiencing those things with the dogs, you learn how to run them the best and learn which dogs work best on each team.
Okay.
And it's funny, like, I have my leaders and Anna has her leaders, but she can run my dogs no problem. They listen to her no problem. They don't try to pull the substitute teacher. scenario, which mine have done to my husband before. I've seen them take the turn and act like they're not listening to me. It's like, well, they know that you're, not going to go over there and, walk up to the leaders and pull them in the right direction. If they miss the turn, you're just going to let them, oh, well, I guess we're going home now kind of situation. But Anna's voice is so identical to mine. We've pulled into a checkpoint before and they'll tell you, oh, we need one of you to park over here. And then one of you to, park right next to her. And she'll be calling Ha, which is a left turn. And I'll be calling G for a right turn. And sometimes both teams will listen to one of us, or it's just, they can't tell our voices apart. I think they can tell us apart, but
you must hate that. I don't even think about that. So obviously you guys run, I was going to say on your free time, but when you guys aren't dog sledding, you're running marathons, you're running triathlons, basically staying busy. Do you think, I guess, your athletic ability, because I read that you guys sometimes you won't even need to be steering or anything. You can just run with the group. Is that like a long thing, or you guys do that for maybe a little bit just to give the dogs a break?
You'll just do it for bits here and there, whether you're helping up a hill, or if you're kind of cold and you need to warm up, or if you're tired and you need to wake up, or whatever reason you feel you want to do it. You're wearing all your winter gear and it weighs a lot. So it's not like, oh, I could run, I can run 5 miles, no problem. I can run a marathon. I could run it with the team. It's like, well, you're probably not going to run a marathon with all your winter gear on in the snow
at 10 miles
an hour.
So
it's exactly. So it's at spurts here and there. Sometimes you're pedaling like you're on a skateboard, or we have a ski pole we carry with us. So sometimes you're just pulling, and it's a way to drive them to kind of, that communicates we want to be going faster. So they'll pick up their speed or try to maintain a faster speed. And then also it helps if it's, a slower trail, or if it's up a hill and that kind of thing. And like we said before, sometimes it just helps you get warm or stay awake. But I definitely think that being a fit musher makes mushing easier. So you'll get your chores done more efficiently. You'll do them better and you'll rest better. If you're not in good shape, or if you're, you got a spare tire, those kind of things, I think that you're,
at a disadvantage.
You're not the best you can be for the dogs. And so I definitely think that being an athlete is a big help.
Do you feel like it's kind of what you have to pay them, like during a race, like you put this forward and they put this forward? You don't feel like you're slacking less weight, let's say less weight on the sled for them to pull or something like that?
Yeah, I guess I just feel like, I would rather be one of them when we're racing. I wish I was one of the dogs when we're racing. It's harder being the musher to me. I'd rather be the one in the harness, getting fed and getting my bed made and getting massage and not having to make the decisions and everything. I would rather be one of the sled dogs, but
you don't want to be the boss.
Yeah. But I feel like we owe it to them to be the best we can be, because they're giving us 110%. So we should give them 110%.
And you want to have them understand that you are part of the team, that you're contributing as much as you can, not just in the caretaking area, but also as a working athlete to get the sled in the direction you want to go in a timely fashion.
Yeah. Because like you guys what's the correct term for the skateboarding thing? Push off or pedaling? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess with the pedaling, that's basically you're helping the dog as much as you can. You know what I mean? Like, do most mushers, is that like a common practice to consistently do that? Or does it depend on the musher? Like to help the dogs?
I think in training, nobody likes to help their dogs in training. They want to make sure they can do it. They can pull you up the hill without you doing anything to help. And then when you get in a race, you want it to be easier for them. So you run up all the hills and you can see the foot tracks, you can see everybody's pedaling or running up the hills to help out.
You can see someone up front of you with 2 ski poles out like a spider going down the trail. They're doing the best they can, or they're, you can tell when people are racing like that.
So, I guess walk me through what it's like when you guys get into a checkpoint. What's like the process like, the 24-hour rest?
You only really have to stay at 3 checkpoints in the Iditarod. One of them is during your 24-hour rest. One of them is an 8-hour rest on the Yukon River somewhere. And the last 8-hour mandatory rest is in the checkpoint of White Mountain, which is the second to the last checkpoint, about 77 miles from the finish. Otherwise, you don't have to stay in the checkpoints. You can grab your supplies at the checkpoint and camp wherever you want, as long as you're a mile away from the checkpoint, and rest there by yourself and do whatever you want. But it's very similar whether you're resting in a checkpoint or on the trail, what your routine is like. And that routine is you pull into the checkpoint, you have to sign in how many dogs you have, what time you got there, declare any mandatory rest you want, and then they'll direct you where to park or direct you where your things are, and then you can leave if you want to.
Yeah, then the vet will ask for your vet book. They'll do whatever time they have for an examination. If you're staying, they'll do a full examination on each dog. If you're going through, the vet will sign your book.
And then you carry on to wherever it is you're going to rest, which as soon as you find where you're going to rest, if it's at a checkpoint or if it's somewhere along the trail, we find the spot you want, pull off the trail, get out your snow hooks, line the dogs out, and then usually give them a snack. The signals, relax, we're going to be here for a little bit, give them a treat. Take off their dog booties, put down straw, untether them so they can mill around. They're still tied up so they can't, run off, but they know that you're kind of taking them out of drive by taking off that back tug line and putting them on their neckline on their collar.
Yeah, then you get their food cooking. We have a cooker, so we'll fire that up and start to heat up them some food. And while that's cooking, you can go through each dog, and if they need any salve on their paws, or if somebody needs a massage or needs any ointment of some kind, or just to check everybody over and, look, listen, and feel kind of things. And then you get a meal into them, pass out their bowls and give everybody a hot meal. And then you don't want to keep fussing with them. You want to stop, and let them sleep, because they need to just rest. So you'll rest for whatever time that you feel they need for how the distance you were traveling and that kind of thing. And then
it's your turn to take care of you. The dogs always come first, no matter how wet, cold, tired, hungry you are. Dogs are always first.
Yeah, so they get everything they need. And it's like, okay, I'm going to eat something. I'm going to change my socks, fresh batteries in the headlamp. I'm going to take a 20-minute nap. Then I'm going to pack up the sled and booty up all the dogs, tug them back up, and take off.
Yeah, from what I saw, you guys get maybe 2 hours a night, something like that, after you guys do everything.
It's about 40 minutes during a 4 to 6 hour stop, I'd say.
Yeah.
And usually you run about 6 hours and rest for 4. So in that 4 hour break, you get 4 or 5 hour break, you get about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, unless it's on one of those long mandatory breaks that you're taking.
Yeah. And it depends. I mean, some of those front runners too, they don't get as much rest time just because they're not resting as much and that kind of thing. But I mean, you might get 4 hours of sleep in a day, but it's only at like 40-minute increments. So sleep deprivation is definitely something you deal with hardcore.
Yeah, I think it's one of the hardest parts is, you can get hungry and push through it, but when you're tired, when you're really tired, at some point your body's going to say, screw you, you're going to fall asleep right now. And we've fallen asleep standing up on the runners. You've fallen over, on the back of the dog sled, just trying to stay awake. And at that point, caffeine doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, I guess, going off of what I would try to think, it would be like, you can always do something more, like for the dogs, or check, like you guys were saying, check their paws, maybe check that the sled is tight. And you know what I mean? Like it's like, should I go to sleep, or should I don't know, massage? I can't think of a cool name. Chestnuts, paws. Is that kind of what it is? Like a tie between sleep deprivation and just making sure everything's perfect that can be done?
Yeah. I mean, you got to do what you have to do. And it's kind of like what you said, you have to do what you need to do. If Chestnut needs extra time massaging, you have to do it. And if that cuts into your run rest schedule, you either tell yourself, okay, I need to sleep for 20 minutes. I'm throwing off the schedule a little bit, but that's the way it goes. Or you tell yourself, fine, I'll try to stay awake and we'll keep this as a schedule. So you make those decisions as you go. And so things don't go according to the plan all the time. You might have planned this, here's this 50-mile run. That'll take me 6.5 hours, but instead you went through a lot of deep snow. So it took you 8.5 hours. So now things are a little different. So you have to make adjustments as you go and be accepting of what is happening.
And also respond to what your competitors are doing around you. I mean, it all comes down to you run your own dog team, but at the same time, when you're racing and if your dog team's looking really good and you're like, I think they do really well if I only stayed here 3.5 hours. And if I did do that, maybe I can stay ahead of, so-and-so here. So it's responding to your environment, to your competitors, and also to you and your team's needs.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Just to touch on, I guess, your gear and stuff like that. What's everything that you have to take, and what's the stuff that you guys get in the drops at like the different stop points?
Like the mandatory gears, you need 2 sets of dog booties for each dog. You need to have a cooker that's capable of boiling 3 gallons of water. You need an axe with a 22-inch handle, and I can't quite remember, 2.5 pound axe head, something like that. In your sleeping bag, it can't be some little kid's sleeping bag. It has to be, an Arctic sub-zero heavy duty sleeping bag.
And you'd be stupid not to pack.
Exactly. And then you need dog food, snowshoes. They give us for Iditarod a promotional piece of commemorative trail mail to carry. Your vet book. And I think that's all the mandatory, and dog coats for the dogs. That's all that you have to carry. Mm-hmm. Is that all you need? No, you need a lot more than that. Because one of the most mandatory things you need, I feel, is like a headlamp.
Absolutely.
So with carrying a headlamp, which means, yes, a headlamp, which means extra batteries, and an extra headlamp with batteries.
Mm-hmm. So also a sled repair kit. You have to be able to fix your stuff out there.
Yeah, a spare set of plastic runners.
Mm-hmm.
We carry our own vet kit. Yeah, food, water for yourself. I have spare socks and some hand warmers and extra gloves and an extra, we'll each have an extra pair of muckluck boots that are just wrapped up in this bag and shoved in the front of your sled. Hopefully I never need it, but if my feet get soaked, they're there. And you have an extra couple layers of things and
dog dishes and a serving ladle to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
We almost always carry camping material. You almost always have straw and dog food and fuel with you for that unplanned emergency stop that you can take care of the dogs if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that weight come to, not including the sled, usually around?
I don't know, might be like 150 pounds or something.
Yeah.
With the dog food.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. That with that, and then plus the musher and their gear and the sled itself, and then what goes in our drop bags is like for the 20 checkpoints of Iditarod, we send out about 2,000 pounds worth of gear, and that's dog food and gear. And in those bags is most of it's dog food. It's like
a lot of variety of dog food based on what the weather's like. If it's really hot, we'll feed a lot more fish and lean meats. If it's really cold, we'll go for a lot more fat and rich food. Mm-hmm. And we always send out a lot of dry kibble because with the temperature fluctuations, our drop bags for the checkpoints are due the middle of February. And we won't see those for almost 3 weeks. And there's no refrigeration unit in Eagle Island. That's just a tent in the middle of nowhere. So they bring the bags out there, they cover them with a tarp, and you hope yours ended up on the bottom of that frozen pile of stuff.
Yeah.
So the birds don't get it and it stays frozen. So if you send a lot of kibble out there, the kibble, you put it in a Ziploc bag or something that's a dry bag. It's not going to go bad. You'll always have enough calories to feed them, but they definitely do. We do feed a very large portion of meat.
Yeah.
A raw food diet.
Yeah. Beef, dogs. Chicken, fish, tripe, beaver, all kinds of stuff like that.
Man, beaver. I didn't even think about beaver.
Super greasy.
I would imagine.
And definitely, it's a weird taste for the dogs. If you don't feed it and they're not used to eating it, they're kind of like, oh, what is this? And that kind of thing. Or we'll sometimes feed liver, and we have this liquid fat blend that we'll freeze and lamb sometimes. And it's something, I mean, we send out king salmon for them. It's like they eat better than we do. We're eating rice out of a steam bag and stuff like that.
And you're also cooking for 14 individuals. Sometimes Diego might not want what Drax is eating.
He sends it back to the kitchen. You're telling
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
That's
He
what he
pushes
does.
it away and
Yeah.
poo-poo.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
want this.
Force is like, I want more gravy on mine, thank you.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
trying to make every diner happy at the table.
Yeah, so primarily in those bags is dog food, and then otherwise on top of that we send out dog booties to every checkpoint. We'll send out more runner plastic, liniments and wrist wraps and socks and gloves and food for us.
Have you guys had any issues in a race where somebody forgot to put something in the pack and you're like, because you can't do anything at that point, right?
Yeah, it kind of just like whatever you sent out there. So we had some really great people helping us, and it's hard sometimes to accept help because it's like, I hope you're doing that right because I'm kind of counting on it. And then we were out there going, and I think it was in our first checkpoint, we were going along, and like I didn't have booties in my first bag or something.
So
wasn't
we're
it?
out, yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, why do I have no booties at Squentna? But we always carry with us a spare set and a half or so.
At the same time, wondering how many other checkpoints don't have dog booties?
Which ones are missing dog booties? So you're just like hoping that, okay, hopefully this is just one fluke. So that was like, I think the worst of it ever was just that.
And now I feel like I don't trust it. I'm like, oh no, we got it taken care of, and we'll stay up for days on end getting them done. And it'd be nice to get people to help, but I'm just really paranoid on it.
And then you have nobody to blame but myself.
Yeah, exactly. Something not right.
Because it happens once, it's going to happen again.
Yeah. Otherwise, despite their best efforts, sometimes Iditarod will lose one of your bags. They're like, hey, sorry, in New Lotto, you are missing bag number 3 out of the 3 you sent there. So you're kind of like, we went together. So I was like, Kristy, you got to save all your spare booties from this checkpoint because when I get to New Lotto, I'm not going to have any. So, I mean, because that's the benefit of working together. We can do that. Mushers can help mushers and that kind of thing. But luckily, I feel like that's maybe the only big mess up that we've had. I think one time when I left the starting line, I was like, shoot, I forgot an alarm clock. Well, I got my stopwatch. That'll work. And then one time I forgot my foldable little rest mat. I was like, shoot, I didn't bring that. Oh, well.
Because I mean, that's everyone's worry. And then it happens once, then you're just paranoid about it like all the time. It's like missing an exam, or it's like you probably have dreams where you open the bag and it's not there. That would be
dreams like our drop weight bags are due tomorrow and I don't have them done, and stuff like that for sure.
It's like cooking with somebody and you're not communicating, like, did you put eggs in this? You don't know, and then you cook it and it doesn't rise. You're like, I guess there were no eggs. It tastes like crap.
So a very important question. This is questions for each of you. What is your playlist? Do you guys, I don't, you guys might listen to podcasts or like heavy metal. What kind of music do you guys?
We do listen to music on the trail. If it gets super cold, then you don't want to take out your earbuds and put them in, and you just don't want to do anything that's going to touch cold. But when it's nicer, it's above 0 or whatever like that, we'll listen to music. And Kristy and I have the same music we've been listening to since 2010 and 2012. We have not updated the music. So then we're always listening to the same set of music. It's a mix of country and
it's got
everything. It's got the soundtrack from Elf on it and soundtrack from Top Gun. Huge variety of stuff. It's got Kenny Chesney to like
Nate Roos.
Yeah, Nate Roos and
Rancid,
Green Day. A huge mix of stuff. But it's that set of music that we've been both listening to for the last like 12 to 14 years. So that anytime I hear one of those songs that comes from that genre of music on the radio, it kind of puts me in that Iditarod moment of like, oh, this song and stuff like that. So and it's kind of fun that we've never updated it, but in a kind of way, it's like we're ready for some new music.
Yeah, it's so ingrained, like the very next song is going to play if you don't put it on shuffle. But and the other thing that's really challenging with that is that so many devices these days are rechargeable, which is fantastic, but you cannot count on recharging things out there in the middle of nowhere. There's no
like
electricity.
At Eagle Island, what are you going to plug into?
It's not, you can't carry a little fold out solar thing and charge your headlamp and your GPS and your iPod all at the same time. Or whatever. So and
the things don't hold the charge as good in 30 below and that kind of stuff.
So we have to have lithium batteries.
So we just use lithium batteries in our headlamps and in our music and our GPSs. So
and even cameras have come a long way. We used to carry a little, I don't even remember what kind it was, little camera. And we were traveling together, and this was before they allowed two-way communication. We'd like wave at the other person and then like point at the ground, and we'd set something there for the other person. So like I wanted to give Anna the one camera we were using. So I was like, gonna try it with the Reese's peanut butter cup first. And I waved to her and I pointed at the ground and I set the Reese's there and she got it. So I was like, okay, this is more important.
Yeah,
grab this. And I set the camera down. That's how we would relay things.
Yeah, share
back
stuff.
and forth.
So do you
But
guys
yeah,
how do you guys communicate back and forth?
now two-way communication is allowed, so we can use walkie-talkies or whatever. Obviously, cell phones only work through like GCI in some of the villages, but
And only in close to proximity
Yeah.
of the village. So when you're out 50 miles from the checkpoint, those things aren't going to work.
yeah,
So you can carry a satellite phone and you can relay message that way, but
yeah, we'll just
and
use a
in reach
walkie-talkie or
but
something.
walkie-talkie works the best, because we always say, within reason of each other, we can almost always see the other person,
Yeah.
unless you're in really dense wooded areas.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, let me ask this follow-up. You said you guys have the same playlist. What's each of you, what is the one song, how you're running or you're at the gym and it's that one song that just pumps you up and you don't dance, but basically you want to dance. What's that one song on the playlist?
I know for Kristy, it's anything Nate Bruce that comes on or fun.
Yeah, specifically the one song he sings, "It Gets Better." And he's like, "It gets better, it gets better." So it's like, yeah, it does get better, when it's 60 below and you haven't slept and you're cold, and it's like it gets better. And so that's one of my pumped up songs. What's yours?
I think it's changed here and there. Like I think it was my second Iditarod. We were leaving Shaktoolik, and I had a lot of young dogs that somewhat just cranky towards each other, and the song from Rancid, Indestructible, came on, and I was like, yeah, I'm indestructible, we're gonna go no matter what. Arctic, you're not gonna fight with Bodie, we got this, guys, and stuff. So that was that song there. But then like once we got closer to Nome, I was finishing the song U2 by Beautiful Day came on, or U2 singing Beautiful Day, and it was just like I practically started like crying. I was like, oh my gosh, here we are getting to the finish line. It's a gorgeous day, and this is what we've been meaning for, but at the same time, that means this is over. And there was just so many feelings of that. So those songs are really touching. And then something like, the Top Gun anthem comes on, and you feel really like,
That's awesome.
Or listening to Christmas music in March. But Christmas is such a joyful time that it just kind of makes you in a good mood.
Yeah. And like on my music playlist, the first time we went out, there's a tricky part of the trail called the Steps, that it's like 3 switchbacks that drop you down into the Happy River, and it's notorious for being kind of rough, people wiping out and crashing through there. And it was my rookie year, and I was nervous for it, because there's nothing you can find to train to feel what the steps are like to drop down on the Happy River. And I was nervous and scared, because you hear all these horror stories about people losing their teams and crashing and that kind of stuff. And like, I was listening to music, and Shakira came on, that song Hips Don't Lie. Now every time I hear that song, I think of here I am coming down the steps. So it's like I always have that memory.
So I guess no plans to change the playlist, but
not yet.
If the other were to retire, do you think you'd keep on racing? And this is obviously to each of you guys, Kristy and Anna.
Oh, it's hard to imagine not racing these races with Anna. We've such a good time together, and I think that we're both going to reach our expiration dates at similar times. I'd hate to think something would force one of us out of it, but I really don't think I would want to do it. Maybe I'd, focus on some shorter distance races or something like that. But Iditarod just has such a special place for me, or in my heart, to do it with her. It just would feel really, really lonely. And even when I think about my very first Iditarod, I remember stopping one time and turning around to yell back at Anna, because even then we were training together and she wasn't there. And I was really like, oh yeah, I'm by myself kind of feeling. So I think it'd be really, really hard for me to do it. And if I were to do it, it'd be for some reason to, like, if she, like, I don't know the scenario, but if we trained a team really hard and something happened where she could not do this. She got COVID. I know that she'd be like, you take the best dogs we have and you go do that race and I will see you when I can. Then yes, I would. But for the most part, I can't imagine carrying on with doing the Iditarod without traveling the trail with Anna.
I feel the same way. I like training more than I do racing. So it's not the race or nothing. I would still enjoy just going on training runs together and traveling with dogs and being out there with the dogs like that. I'm going to be fine if I don't run the Iditarod, if I don't race. So I kind of feel the same.
So I guess another question for both of you. What would you tell your younger self from the first race to the race last March? What are the big things that you've learned over that time to tell your not previous self, but first Iditarod self?
Yeah, the rookies have an official meeting every year, and a lot of years we're selected to speak to the rookies because we've done it so many times now. And one of the things that I feel that resonated big time from my first one is like how long that 10, 11, 12 days feels. It's a long time to be out there and you're soaking up every minute of every day. So it's super intense. Like it's going to be you're out there a long time. It feels like a long time, and just to try to maintain those good spirits and that kind of thing. But it's a long time to be out there. I think that was one thing that hit me is like, you're using every minute of every day to the fullest. Then it's just like, it's a long time. It's like, okay, what were you doing 10 days ago? Oh, well, geez, I what day was that? You don't really recall that. But when you're out there on the trails, like I was leaving Swetna and it was 2:00 in the morning, exactly what you were doing and what things were happening. So it's just a long time. I guess that's one of the things that hit me most.
And I think to really enjoy it, because you don't know what'll happen, that you might not get to do this again. I mean, it's very expensive to find the money to do this every year, and to have a good health for you and good health for your dogs, and have everything work out the way you want it to. So you never know what's going to happen with, family and life circumstances. Enjoy the time while you're out there. Take the time to grab that picture, not which, I should have grabbed a picture at that sunset. The dog team looks so pretty. Who cares? Go ahead and take a selfie with your lead dog. Take the time to make it what you want it to be, because you might not get to go out there and do it again. And I think some of the rookies will get really caught up in trying to compete or something like that, and they're missing the big picture.
Yeah, all of them want to be rookie of the year, but it's like only one of you is going to be. But run your race, and like Kristy said, enjoy that time out there.
Okay, good answer. So this might be a stupid question after this long interview, but where do you guys see yourself in 5 years?
That's a hard question to answer, because I feel like I live season to season. I live from when there's snow on the ground and when there's not. So it's like right now, it's like, okay, I know what I'm going to be doing from now until April. I'm going to be running dogs. And then typically it's been, what am I doing from April till October is working landscaping so I can make money, so I can run the dogs in the winter. And that's been the life cycle. Whether our job has been construction, commercial fishing, or landscaping, it's always seasonal work because we do all our dog work ourselves. So to maintain a full-time job for us just doesn't work. So that's why we rely heavily on sponsors, so we can, get what we need through the winter besides what we make. But so that's really hard for me to think 5 years from now is where I would be.
And I don't think you're like cognitively thinking about where you're going to be in 5 years, but you are, because we've got puppies right now. So puppies are a commitment for 7 to 10 years for this dog's,
racing
career. So yeah, in a way you're going to be doing this because we've got pups on the ground.
Yeah.
So
our young,
it's hard to, I imagine I'll be racing dogs in 5 years, and whether that's Iditarod or not, Iditarod doesn't define me. I really enjoyed the opportunity to run across frozen Alaska, because without this race, it's volunteers, veterinarians, and everything like that. It would be very, very, very hard to do, and probably more expensive to try to do it without the assistance of the Iditarod Trail Committee. So I'll enjoy doing the races that I can do, and enjoy the time with the dogs, and until I find it not as fun anymore. And that'll probably be because I'm just hurting so darn bad that I'm getting old.
Yeah. Yeah. But as long as it's fun and you can afford it and getting fulfillment from it, then I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, makes sense. And then maybe one day you'll mentor the next generation.
Yeah, it's weird that right now it feels like the next generation has become the main crew now. Because like when Kristy and I first signed up, here we're running with guys and gals that have been running Iditarod for 10, 15, 20 years. Have Jeff King and Lance Mackey and Dee Johnro and Ali Zirkle. And now all these people have retired, and now we're like the old people.
Yeah.
We're the seniors now. So it's like, geez, now we're
old salt.
now all the freshmen are looking up to us now. And that we're in good company with a lot of other young, good mushers, like Pete Kaiser and Brent Sass and Matt Hall and Paige Romney and just all these, that's like good, young, competitive people now. And that we're in that class now, like we're the seniors now. And
yeah, looking at the roster of mushers, I'm the most senior musher that signed up this year. Yeah. I've had the most Iditarod starts. I'm like, good God, am I really getting that old? Have I really done this 14, going on 14 times now? And then looking back to when I first did it 1 or 2 times and just getting excited when I got to the point where I feel like this is my drive for 5. I can, 5 Iditarods one hand, and now it's just like I've run out of fingers.
Yeah. And then like a lot of our mushing friends are having kids now, and that'll be the next generation. So it's like, to be where we're at right now, it's honoring and it's humble to have all these people looking up to you in ways. And it's come full circle. It's crazy.
That's awesome. Now it's just funny that now you guys are mentors, and just, I guess 10 years ago, you guys were just starting out. So I can't even imagine what that's like.
Yeah.
Looking back, and even what the dogs that we had when we were first starting out.
By the way, you guys are still young. You are still young. Don't
but looking back to when we first started out, what I thought was a really good dog, like, oh man, Duchess is awesome. She could be on the winning team. She's just the best. And looking back, like, yeah, she was really good. But seeing the dogs that we've developed and been racing, like, yeah, Duchess was good, but she's not as good as Mayhem. Yeah, exactly. So it's just really fun to look back at those pictures that we have and reminisce about the dogs that you did finish your first Iditarod with and be like, oh, that was a really great dog. And
how we've evolved and learned. Learned so much.
Yeah, the sport's just changed. It's an old sport, but the competitive mushing part of it is still relatively young. I mean, Iditarod's only 50 years old.
Mm-hmm. This is just a comment because I was reading something on your webpage that was a point of view that kind of struck me really hard because I have a dog, but you guys have so many dogs and then they become veteran dogs. I can't even imagine losing a dog and then a couple years later possibly losing another dog. Like, how do you guys even deal with that, like, emotionally? I think that's crazy. You must be like tough as nails.
Yeah, it's hard. Some people like, how could you love all of those dogs as much as I love my one dog? It's like we've survived together as a pack out there. We've been through some stuff.
Yeah, it's
together.
almost like like a platoon in the military.
Yeah,
it's like
we're this tribe.
What we've gone through together. Like, oh yeah, that's awesome. You take your dog for a walk around the block and you go get ice cream at the pup cups at the Starbucks. That's great. That sounds like a lot of fun. But you weren't out there in the middle of the sea ice watching pressure ridges form around you, wondering how you were gonna get to the next checkpoint safely. Like this,
you survive together. And just the things you accomplish together, and that we've had the puppies since they were born, and then you see them finish Iditarod. It's like, wow, they've graduated, and then you see them age, and it's really hard to see. The dog thinks that they're 5 years old, but here they're 12 and they think that they can keep up. It's like, sorry, you're just going to be running with the recreational group because you just lost the speed and pace. You still have a job here, but it's just hard to see him age. And then you'll be going through records like, gosh, really is Yondu 5 years old already? Just the time goes by so quick. And I mean, because we've only been doing this for about 15 years with our own dogs, and we've been other kennels where you've got dogs pass away and stuff. Our oldest dog now is Joan, and he's 14, and he can go for a half-mile run with us and stuff like that. He's very healthy 14-year-old, but it's going to be hard when he does pass away. And we do have a memorial tree because we've had lost dogs. So we had a dog that she was only 6 years old and she got cancer, and we did everything we could, but she slipped away from us. And
it was really hard, and she was from our first litter that we raised, and it's really hard to lose a dog. And it's also a really rewarding experience when you get a dog. I had a dog named Jack, and he was an awesome dog, and he got to the point where he still wanted to be a sled dog, but he was getting old. He was 12 years old, and it was hard for him to do what we wanted him to do here. And I found a really nice family that was looking for a dog they could trust with their son to go out and do they had a retriever that was kind of trying out to be a sled dog. And like, yeah, it would be great if we could get, lucky to go run with Jack. And Jack found a great family to age with and keep doing what he's doing and feel important. So a lot of the dogs that we have found retirement homes for, the people are really great about keeping us updated on what they're doing. And also when that dog does finally reach its time, it's always hard to get that kind of news. So it's hard. And I don't know how to explain how to cope with that.
Yeah, but you're part of a pack, and that you still have responsibility to the rest of your pack. And you keep traveling,
soldier on.
Yeah.
No, I commend you, just because I imagine that takes so much emotional strength. And just like you were saying at the beginning, Kristy, obviously it's not shared trauma, but like going through all these Iditarods with the dogs, like you guys experienced it. So that makes it much better than going around just on a walk. It's more like,
but yeah, that's great though. I don't want anyone to feel like their relationship with their dog isn't as significant as mine, because companion dogs are amazing. They do so much for you. We're just lucky that we each have 20 companions.
So I'd like to close with one question. It's a two-part. So what's something that your parents did that you'd like to pass on to the next generation? And what is something that you are trying to do differently than your parents?
Oh, wow.
Let us think that you can't do that. Because Kristy and I have always been gravitated towards jobs that, well, I want to be a fireman. Well, only men are firemen. Or I want to be a dog musher. Well, only mostly guys are dog mushers, or anything like that. Our parents never made us think that you can't do that. So I think that that's a great thing. It's like, yeah, try it. You might like it. It's supposed to be something you want to do. And our dad told us, like, find something you love and, find a way that you can make a job out of it, that kind of thing. So I just think that they're very encouraging to let us try what we wanted to try. And even though it was like dog mushing was a huge thing to take on, we never got our own dogs as kids. It was like, okay, the neighbor has dogs, they need help doing all the chores, then you can see what this is like. So I just think they were very encouraging that way to, they never told us you can't do that.
And they really support us in that way of, like, you're not going to make money hand over fist being a dog musher, retire at 40 years old. You're going to be working till the day you die, supporting that dream and that hobby and that love. So they're really supportive on, if that's your dream, go out there and do it.
Mm-hmm. So definitely pass that on.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button. Somebody was calling me saying, I got liver for your dogs. And I was like, no. We want the liver, but we're in the middle of something.
We want the liver, but no, that's awesome.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you guys are fine.
One of the things I think after that long pause is that our parents weren't very social. We lived in a very small town, kind of
dead end road
to ourselves. We went to, or it was 18 kids in our graduating public high school, very small. So I get in large crowds, and it's almost, there's a lot of anxiety, and just, I feel more comfortable being with a bunch of dogs than people. So I've had to work really hard and expose myself more and more to things like this, to feel like what I have to say is important. So I really appreciate you reaching out to us to do this podcast. It's really building my confidence in public speaking and just being around people. So I think our parents it would have been nice to be a little bit more social aspect in our lives. But I think that's why we are good dog mushers, because a dog musher doesn't mind being out in the middle of nowhere for days on end and not seeing another soul.
Yeah, that might have been something that came from the fact that we were twins. Just, you guys is a best friend. I don't have to go find a friend. I got a friend, so who cares?
Yeah.
So
buddy system.
Right. Yeah. Battle buddy from the beginning.
Even growing up, right off the bat, there was an attempt to drive us apart. And even when our mom enrolled us in the school, like, well, which one are you putting in first grade and which one are you putting in kindergarten? And her mom's like, what are you talking about? They're both going into kindergarten. They're 5 years old. And they're like, well, they're going to be very, clingy to each other and dependent on each other. And my mom's like, no, they're both going into kindergarten. I'm not worried about it. And I just always remember, even in school, anytime there was a chance to split us up, it was there. And I almost make it think that it made us want to, drove us closer together. Because I was like, no, I want to be on the same kickball team as Anna and stuff like that.
Yeah. So maybe it's more about the being treated a little different, being twins. And I've felt that way too. Like in Iditarod, people like, do you want to go up together or one at a time? I was like, well, we're both individuals. We're going to go up there and have what each of us have to
she's
say.
She's going to thank our sponsors. She's going to say what she wants to say.
Yeah,
I'm going to say
I don't think they asked any other musher, do you guys want to go up together?
Yeah.
So this is a little being treated differently, but at the same time, we stick out because of it. And
we do play on that too. It helps us stand out.
Yeah, because it's a hard sport to get noticed for unless you're winning. So it's just nice that we have something to draw a little bit of attention towards.
Stuff like that.
Sometimes it takes people that obviously nobody wants to poo-poo on their parents, but it's not even poo-pooing. Somebody said an example, like my parents were too perfect. That was the problem. Like me finding a husband is just so difficult to compare what my parents have. You know what I mean? Like even being too good was a problem. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's it. Is there anything you guys want to like promote or talk about? Anything that you guys want to put out there?
Our sponsors are very local and everything like that for us, but we couldn't do what we do without GCI here in Alaska and Polar Asset Management team in Canada and things like that. Those are two of our biggest sponsors. And just people have been coming back year after year, like GBA Corona. And
we really appreciate the teachers teaching about Iditarod in school, because those kids that write us little letters asking us questions, it's really cool to see that they have an interest in this. So to teach, about Alaska and about Iditarod and the ancient sport of dog mushing, that is still alive and well, regardless of the invention of the snow machine or not, but it's still something that's used and very primitive.
Yeah. And thank you for helping spread the knowledge of dogs and everything, because some people don't get what it's like and they don't get it. I mean, just because you have a cat doesn't mean you know how to take care of a tiger. That's how sled dogs are. They're a different working animal that we have a different relationship some people have with their dogs. So just thank you for helping spread that knowledge and to teach people about dogs and relationships and mushing and that kind of thing.
Well, you guys are, I guess, the experts of the relationships with dogs. I mean, you guys go through every stage, you go through every type of dog. I mean, I'm jealous in some respects. It's just like your job. There's also amazing parts. And then there's looking for your liver vendor who's got 200 pounds of liver.
Right.
Or this morning having to find a vet on Labor Day was
Oh, that must be horrible.
Yeah, we're lucky. One of our mushing friends is a vet, and she was all like, "Yeah, come over." So we got things taken care of.
But yeah, that's it, guys. I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, we just get so excited with dogs. We kind of go all over the place, and you have two brains that you got to harness. So thanks for bearing with us.
Having very good, intelligent questions. It didn't feel like an interview that I've had before, so that was really fun.
And thanks again. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.